Hey, what's going on, everybody? Alex here with Freedom Mowers. I hope you all are doing well. We are starting to get into fall here in North Carolina. I know most of y'all are probably already in the cold areas, but here in the South, this is about the time of year where we are getting cooler weather and lots of leaves. So I got this blower a while back with a chainsaw. Someone was getting rid of that stuff for free. You can normally find these things at yard sales or on the marketplace for cheap. And the way prices are right now, if you are trying to get a leaf blower, I mean, you could fix one of these up pretty easily and pretty inexpensive and have yourself at least a half decent blower for a homeowner use. I don't know much about this one. I did check the throttle earlier. It's a little gummy. This one has been sitting for a while. Someone's been into it. The screws were out of the primer bulb on here, and that's about all I know. So I'm gonna get y'all set up on the tripod and we will get started on this homelite vac attack zip start. All right, so first things first, I guess we'll take a look at the fuel tank. Pretty sure there's some water down at the bottom and some old fuel, so we will most certainly be cleaning that out. But I want to see right off the bat if we've got spark, if we got enough compression to even have this thing going. Definitely has a strong pullback on it, so that's a pretty good sign of good compression on here. I am going to go ahead and pull the plug boot off. What size is this one? We'll go ahead and pull this plug out. We'll take a look at the condition of it, and then we can also check for spark as well while we're at it. Honestly, this looks, let me see if y'all can see, it looks pretty good. I'm sure, like most of these, this thing just sat for a little while. Most likely the fuel lines just got dry or the diaphragm dried up and then it wouldn't start and someone just left it. That's usually the case with most of the two-stroke stuff. So alright, I got this kind of wedged there so it's touching the case. We should be able to ground and check for spark. I know y'all probably won't be able to see it, but it does have good blue spark. So we'll move forward. I have some True Fuel here. I really like this stuff. I really like to run it in my two-stroke equipment. I don't have to mix anything, and it's ethanol free. I did put a little bit here in my bottle beforehand. So what we are gonna do is I'm just gonna dribble a little bit in there, and then we're gonna put the plug back in and see if we can't get this thing just to fire off for a second. That way we'll know if we've got enough compression to run and we don't have to fiddle with compression gauges and all that. Make sure to start your plug by hand so you don't cross thread anything. I'm not gonna tighten it too tight, but just kind of snug it up. And let me get it off this table because it keeps vibrating. Move y'all so you can see. Put it on this chair. Y'all can see there, right? Oh yeah, kicked over. Should go this time. Awesome. Well, that answers that question. We've got good enough spark and compression, easy enough, just dribble a little fuel in there. So I did take a look earlier just to kind of see what was going on. This air box is a little different on this one, but it looks like we've just got 4 screws to at least take the air cover off, and then we'll figure out what we got to do to take the air box and carburetor loose so we can start looking into that. The lines look like trash on here, so we'll be cleaning the carburetor most likely, probably a new diaphragm in there and some new fuel lines, and we'll probably have a good running machine. So let me get things set up and we'll jump to it. All right, well, we got these 4 screws need to come out. Gross. Oh my. Yeah, there's not much left of the whatever was going on with that air cleaner, and you can see it's just turned into dust. So I guess it was 3/8. I think the whole stud was trying to come out. As I launch these nuts across the room. Alright. What do we have that's holding us up here? Oh, okay. So the throttle cable on this one is actually attached to that. It looks like it's just got 2 ears, so you gotta pinch and then it will come out of the housing. Alright, well, I got the air box off from there. You guys can see, or maybe not see because it's lighting. There's just 2 little tabs that need to be pinched, and they go in that hole right there. Throttle cable was freed up. All I did was by hand, I rotated the armature back there a little bit and freed up that bend. So now we should be all set to get everything out of here. We've got just the 2 lines going to it. The one closest to the primer bulb is the lower one on the tank. Got that one, and then the other one that's higher up on the tank goes to just the side of the carburetor. We'll see which one has the fuel filter on it. So the lower one is our supply with the filter, and then the upper one is our return hose. So we'll just remember that. But we should be, let me get this thing out of the way because somebody's already been in here messing. Alright, I'm gonna have to set y'all on tripod. That thing is like glued to it. But we'll just go ahead and slide the carb off at this point and take a look at it. Alright, so I was going to show y'all because apparently they made this case on this one to where, I'm assuming they want you to pull off that whole side cover to be able to get to this choke arm, because it does not clear the case when you're trying to get it off these studs. So I went ahead and pulled the little butterfly there, and now we should be able to just pull the choke rod out. So it's got the longer part in the down position. So now I can just pull that right out. Just remember where that went. And now finally we should be able to get this carb off from here. So I'm also going to have to find a couple of screws for the primer bulb side that someone took out, but I should have some in my stash of goodies. I just got to take that fuel line off, and we'll get everything laid out here and start looking over this carb. Alright, got everything kind of laid out here so we can work on it. That's the gasket and like little fuel valves. That one, that was just kind of sitting in the machine where they had already taken this primer bulb off before. But that comes off. The bulb is hard as a brick, and it has a hole in it. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get pliers. No, come off. But yeah, that thing is rotten. Get a new primer bulb on it. And then we'll have to take this off. Now, most of the time on two-stroke carburetors, if you're having fuel issues, it's probably gonna be the diaphragm that's under here. We'll go ahead and get this open here. We'll see if this one's crispy. Oh yeah, I can hear it already. That wouldn't pump anything like that. They're supposed to be like, I guess kind of velvety soft would be the best way to explain it. Yeah, and then it just cracked right there too. I don't know if y'all can see that light through it, but it's just super dry rotted. So, new diaphragm. I am gonna run this through the ultrasonic cleaner, like I said. But if you don't have that option, it would be best to just spray through all the ports on this and get it with compressed air. I'm just gonna run it through the ultrasonic cleaner and then hit it with some compressed air, and then I'll show you guys putting this all together. I think I've got a diaphragm for it, a new bulb, and then we'll get the fuel lines all set up. Alright, well, I have searched high and low around here for some parts. I was looking for just that one screw that holds the primer bulb side on, and yeah, that proved to be very difficult even with all the extra carburetors I have. So you'll end up just putting the primer bulb and that little lock ring on, and then you want to have the gasket closer to the primer bulb, and then that plastic valve piece on. Then we are going to go ahead and just line all that up. Might have to open up that throttle a little bit to get the plate to set in position. Now, I didn't get two of the same pieces of hardware. This should be the correct one, and then I had a Allen key style one, but they are the same thread pitch and length, so I am just gonna roll with it. So hopefully we can get this repair done. I've just got to tighten these down, and then on the other side we have a new diaphragm, nice and soft. We'll go ahead and put the gasket down. Should be just like that. You'll lay your diaphragm on top, and I got to get all these holes and everything lined up, but yeah, just got to lay all that out on there. This one isn't completely correct either, but should be good enough to roll with it. As long as the diaphragm's going to be supple and get a good seal, then we should be all set. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything lined up, get the screws in, and then we can start working on that fuel line. Alright, well, I got this back together. The only thing I was talking about with that diaphragm on here is there are a couple different styles, but this one still fit on here, and everything lined up just fine. I've got a nice tight seal on here, and everything looks good, so seems like it's pumping just fine. But I will show y'all on the blower itself here. I'm gonna go ahead and take out, there is 1, 2, and 3, looks like the Torx head bits. We'll just go ahead and take, on this one, I'm just gonna take the tank off because it'll be easier to clean it, and then I can feed the new lines in. You don't have to do that. You could leave it on and still get away with it too. Although this particular one would probably be pretty hard to get those lines in. So we'll pull this tank, we'll get it cleaned, and then we can get some fresh new lines in there, and we should be on the home stretch after that. So let me get this off and we'll get going with that. Alright guys, well, I got the tank all cleaned out, switched a little bit of gas around in there, and then I took a paper towel and some compressed air and blew through there so we can start with the fuel line. I did match up what was in here, and I don't have a whole lot of this line left, so I am gonna make do the best I can. The biggest key when trying to get this fuel line into a tank is you need to cut a very steep angle on it. I don't even know if these scissors will cut this or not, but basically you can use a razor blade or scissors or anything to cut this down. But basically you'll just want to get it where it has a nice, see, I should probably go up a little higher too, a little steeper, but let me trim that just a little bit more. I think that ought to be pretty good, if y'all can see. And what that's going to allow you to do is basically just, now see, it'll start right in the tank, and then from there you can actually put like some WD-40 or something like that if you need to lube up the line. I've got that in there, and then I just got to get something to start pulling it. I'll pull the line back through. We've got a new fuel filter. This is what our old one looks like. It looks like it's been sitting in chainsaw oil. It's pretty nasty, so we'll get that new filter on. But I'll finish feeding these lines and I'll show y'all when everything is hooked up, and then we can get this remounted, and then we'll measure out how much we need to get our carburetor on, and we're almost done. All right, I got the other line in there and cut that one. So that one I just have kind of poked in the tank a little bit. That's just our return. And I did just temporarily just slide the carburetor back on the studs. That way I can get this on. Sorry, trying to do this one-handed, but those lines are in the way. So, come on, work with me. So basically I just wanted to make sure that I had enough length to be able to reach both of the barbs on there. I am gonna have to trim this one a little bit, but that's all you really want to do. You just want to make sure you don't have too much or too little. But yeah, we should be pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and get that longer line just measured up. I have to reinstall that choke rod that you guys saw me take off earlier, throttle cable, and then just a couple screws. We'll get the tank remounted up. We'll throw some fuel in it and make sure the primer bulb is working, and then we should be able to try to crank this thing up. All right, well, here we go. I got the bottom all buttoned up. I do need to find, even if I have to use a small piece of foam for the filter. I haven't gassed it, haven't primed it. We're gonna do all that together. Put a little bit of this pre-mix in there. Just a little bit over the filter. All right, so let's see. Can see it coming through the lines. Oh, I might have had that tilted too far. There we go. Now we're pulling fuel. All right. Well, let's take this. Actually, I'll leave y'all on the tripod. Take this right outside and see if this thing will crank up for us. All right. So, let's see, this was, so that's choke off, that's choke on, is up. All right. Well, let's go for it, huh? Can y'all see that? Yep. All right, choke off. first pull. We'll let it warm up a little bit. Yeah, I think it's running just a little bit lean, so we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get on those adjustment screws. There should be the red one there should be our low speed. Trying to see if we got any kind of fuel leaks or anything like that. It looks good so far. All right, well, y'all saw, got it up and running. I did have to take off the adjuster cap on the low speed just to give it just a hair more fuel, so going counterclockwise. I did let this sit for a few more minutes now. Had it running, it was running good. Shouldn't need to choke. So cranks right up now. Awesome. All right, well, I got a fair amount of leaves out here. We'll give this thing a whirl. Make sure I got the choke off still. All right, well, not the most power in the world, but certainly will get the job done, and really didn't cost us but a few bucks and just a little bit of time to get this running. So hopefully it's helped somebody. You know, a lot of these blowers, they're just a little bit different setup as far as the like fuel line placement and things like that, but they're basically all about the same. So I hope this helps someone, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in as always. And on that note, let freedom ring, let those small engines sing. I'll see you all in the next one.